make a video about this retro stack. Oh, I call it a retro stack that I put together, trying to use Sony and 80s and 90s technology. Basically, I was trying to recreate an audio system that I always wanted when I was a kid. This is just going to be a quick overview of the different components and how I put it together. I could probably do a deep dive in each one of these individually, starting with the speakers, basically. And let's unlock the camera. We'll zoom in on them as I bounce the camera around. So speakers are actually my father's speakers. They're Pioneer CS88As. Basically, I recapped the crossovers internally. As you can see, massive woofer, mid-range, two tweeters, and a super tweeter. And these tweeters I had to refoam because they totally disintegrate. You don't have to refoam these because those are actually linen or cloth surrounds. So that's the first stack. Then we go over to the amplifier. And the amplifier is a Sony TA-N55ES. So it's an ES model, by the way. ES is the higher end or the highest end model that you can get. And this is pretty good. The TS models are very good. So this is a SPD-EP9ES. This is really supposed to be for translating 5.1. I actually use it as a DAC. I use it for a DAC from the CD player as well as from the Apple TV. Now this is a MXD-D5C. This is a combination of a 5 CD changer as well as what I primarily use it for, which is a mini disc player. So this gives me a lot of nostalgia. This is a really high-end tape player. Well, high-end for me, at least. It's not quite the ES model. I have an ES downstairs that I yet have to repair, clean, and put new belts on it. This is a TCWR635S, so very, very good tape player. And we have an SACD changer. So this is a SCD-CE595. 5-disc CD changer. It's also a SACD player. This here is the only non-Sony item I have here because I actually had a Sony equalizer and it was all electronic, but the problem was it didn't have 2 tape inputs. It only had 1. This one has 2. I do have to repair it because, should I turn that on? Turn the lights on. There's a reverb window here, and this doesn't work. In fact, it doesn't even activate. This is supposed to turn on. Not that I would use it, but it would be nice to actually have it functional. So I've taken it apart, see if there's it's probably a bad capacitor. I'm hoping that burnt out, and I'm going to replace that. Above that, we have the receiver, which is St-JX741. Pretty decent. I would say the mid-tier of the players, right? And the same thing with this preamplifier. This is a TA-E741. I specifically like this preamp because the functions that it has and the ease of being able to plug everything in. And it has its own internal phono amp. And I like the display also. And then up here, this is my father's turntable. Let me open it up. It's actually playing Pixies right now. And this is a Sony PS-LX550, which is a linear turntable. And what makes it a linear turntable, you'll notice that there's no tone arm. Well, it is a tone arm, it's a real small one, but it runs along this track in the back. So I don't have to worry about any alignment issues. I did replace the stylus though. I believe that is I'll have to look up what the model is, but it's basically, and I'll dub in right here, what that style of, it's not a 1/4 inch stylus, but it's one of those secondary standard types. Again, I'll put it in the video. And then over here, we have a Teac X-3R reel-to-reel, 7-inch I had to recap this also. Replaced the rollers, cleaned everything, oiled everything, but it works. It works really well. And this will actually play in both directions. So if I hit the directional button, you'll see it. It'll. There you go. All right. And you can set it to actually play consistently back and forth. Play this one tape back and forth, back and forth. Right now I have it playing at the highest speed. Now, in addition to this, I have kind of like a bonus. Here is Sony wireless headphones. And this is, and I'll have to put the model number because I didn't write it down up in the screen right here, but it's basically, I inherited this from my father-in-law who was moving, and he gave me a CD changer among other things, and he gave me these stereo headphones, which are wireless and battery. I believe it's using RF. I think it's not 2.4 gigahertz. Again, I'll put that on the screen, but it is, they're pretty clear. Not the best, but very, very acceptable. And then here I have a Schiit Audio Bifrost DAC. Now, this is a Gen 1 DAC. Still very good, but it's not the multi-bit. And I use that for the little Apple TV sitting in the back here, right? Which I also have plugged into that. And I mostly plugged it in for comparison to see if I hear the difference. And I don't have, audiophile ears, so they both sound great. But I switch back and forth just to kind of test myself. And then over here we have a Schiit Audio-EP9ES. That's a headphone, specifically a headphone amp. And then a Schiit SCD-CE, which is basically just a switch, so I can switch between the two headphone outputs. And here we have AKG, and these are K92s. Not the best AKGs, but not the worst. They're very good for me, and they work well. Here's all the remotes. I have as many remotes as I can for all the systems, including the Roku TV and Apple TV. Well, the Apple TV real remote's on my desk behind me. Before I forget, this is an external phono preamp, which you can also take a line in, and you can switch between the two using the dots here. And I actually are not playing, but I want to show you the VU meters. This is a Duke Audio T13 solid state preamp, no tubes or anything, although I do have system downstairs which has tubes, which I could show you. And there you go, she's playing the beginning of Pixies right now. And I actually switch between the two, so if I turn up and I put it on phono right now. But one thing I don't like about the preamp is that when you put on phono, it disables the subwoofer. But I have it coming into here to Audio 4, which I just use for the audio jacks, RCA jacks. Notice that the subwoofer still, I'm sure they did that to keep the turntable from skipping, but I don't like it. The internal, and now I'm using the external. I almost forgot, which I always do. I have plugged into here as a subwoofer. This is a Klipsch RW-12D. Really, really overkill for what this system is, but it sounds fantastic. Sounds fantastic. All right, we'll go to deep dives for each one of these, one by one, and we could probably make whole videos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.